The deep space mining vessel Helios drifted through the Kuiper Belt, its massive solar arrays drinking in the dim starlight. Chief Engineer Maya Rodriguez stood at her workstation, frowning at the readouts from the ship's experimental quantum sensors. Something wasn't right. "Captain Warner," she called over the intercom, "I'm picking up some unusual quantum fluctuations. They're like nothing I've seen before." Captain James Warner's voice crackled back. "Natural phenomenon." "Negative. The pattern is too regular, too structured. Whatever this is, it's artificial." There was a pause before Warner responded. "Plot me a course. Let's see what we found." The Helios changed direction, its massive frame turning ponderously in space. As a deep space mining vessel, it wasn't built for speed or maneuverability, but its advanced sensors and heavy-duty equipment made it perfect for investigating anomalies in the outer solar system. As they approached the source of the readings, the ship's long-range cameras began picking up something extraordinary. At first, it appeared to be a cluster of asteroids, but as they drew closer, the true nature of what they were seeing became apparent. "My God," Maya whispered as the main viewport filled with the image. Floating in the void were dozens of massive crystalline structures, each one larger than the Helios. They seemed to be ships, but unlike anything humans had ever constructed. Their surfaces were faceted like enormous gems, with what appeared to be internal structures visible through their translucent hulls. "All hands to stations," Warner ordered over the ship-wide comm. "First contact protocols are now in effect." The crew scrambled to their positions, years of training kicking in despite their amazement. Maida's fingers flew over her console as she took detailed readings of the alien vessels. "Captain, these ships, they're alive, or at least partially organic. I'm detecting complex molecular structures that seem to be a hybrid of crystalline and biological components." Before Warner could respond, a signal came through their communications array. It wasn't radio waves or any conventional form of communication. Instead, it was a complex pattern of quantum entanglement that somehow carried information. Dr. Sarah Chen, the ship's quantum physicist, worked frantically at her station. I think I can translate this. The quantum patterns are forming into coherent data structures." The main screen flickered, and an image appeared. The being they saw was as extraordinary as its ships, a humanoid form composed of shifting crystalline structures, with what appeared to be streams of light flowing through its transparent body. "Greetings, carbon-based entities." The creature's voice came through as patterns of light and sound that the ship's computers struggled to interpret. "We are the crystallites. We require assistance." Warner stepped forward, his voice steady despite the unprecedented situation. "I am Captain James Warner of the Earth vessel Helios. How can we help?" The crystallite's form flickered, its internal lights dimming slightly. "Our biocrystal matrix is failing. A cascading entropy effect threatens our entire species. We have traveled far seeking the solution, but our energy reserves are nearly depleted. Without intervention, our civilization will die." Maya's sensors confirmed the aliens' words. The crystalline ships were experiencing some kind of degradation at the quantum level, a process that seemed to be accelerating. "How long do you have?" Warner asked. "By your time measurements, approximately 30 of your days before the cascade becomes irreversible. We are already losing outer ships to the entropy effect." Warner turned to Maya. "Chief Engineer, what are we dealing with?" Maya studied her readings, her mind racing. "Their entire civilization seems to be based on biocrystalline technology, living crystal structures that maintain themselves through quantum-level processes. But something's disrupting those processes, causing a breakdown that's spreading through their fleet like a disease. Can we help them?" Maya bit her lip, considering the enormous challenge before them. "Maybe. Their technology is far beyond ours, but the principles involved, they're not entirely different from some of the quantum engineering we've been developing for our mining operations. If we can understand their biocrystal matrix, we might be able to find a way to stabilize it." Warner nodded, then turned back to the alien representative. "We'll help you, but we'll need to contact Earth. This is beyond our capabilities alone." The crystallite's form brightened slightly. "We are grateful. But please understand, if you cannot help us, our death could release enough quantum energy to create a localized space-time disruption. Your solar system would be at risk." Warner felt the weight of the situation settle on his shoulders. This wasn't just a rescue mission anymore. It was a race against time to prevent a disaster that could threaten Earth itself. "Maya, get me a quantum channel to Earth Command. Dr. Chen, work with our guests who understand their technology. We need solutions, and we need them fast." As the crew rushed to their tasks, Maya couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and fear. Humanity's first contact with an alien civilization had just become a desperate rescue mission. They had 30 days to save a species whose technology they barely understood, using principles that pushed the boundaries of human science. But as she looked at her fellow crew members, she saw determination in their eyes. This was what humans did best: facing impossible challenges and finding ways to overcome them. The crystallites had traveled across the galaxy seeking help, and they'd found humanity. Now it was time to show them why that was the best thing that could have happened to them. Earth's response to the Helios's emergency transmission was immediate and unprecedented. Within 72 hours, 3 of humanity's most advanced research vessels had arrived at the mining ship's location, carrying the brightest minds Earth could gather on such short notice. Maya stood in the Helios's newly converted quantum lab, surrounded by holographic displays showing the complex structure of the crystallite's biomatrix. Dr. Chen worked beside her, her fingers dancing through the air as she manipulated the 3-dimensional models. "It's beautiful," Chen murmured, zooming in on a particularly complex node of the crystal structure. "Their entire civilization is built on quantum entanglement at a molecular level. Each ship, each individual is connected to the whole through quantum links, which is exactly why they're dying," Maya replied, highlighting a degrading section of the matrix. "The entropy cascade is breaking down those quantum links. When enough of them fail, the entire network collapses," finished Arkson, the crystallite scientist who had been working with them. Its crystalline form shimmered as it moved closer to the display. "Our ancestors designed our civilization this way to achieve perfect unity. We never imagined it could become our extinction." The lab's door slid open, and Captain Warner entered with Dr. Yuki Tanaka, Earth's leading expert on quantum computing, who had arrived on the research vessel Einstein. "Please tell me you have good news," Warner said, his face showing the strain of the past few days. Maya shared a look with Chen before responding. "We understand the problem better now. The crystallite's quantum network is like a vast computer, processing information and energy simultaneously. But something has introduced an error into the system, a quantum virus, for lack of a better term." "Can we stop it?" Warner asked. Dr. Tanaka stepped forward, her eyes fixed on the holographic display. "Not directly. The network is too complex, too alien for us to reprogram. But," she paused, her mind clearly racing, "we might be able to introduce a counter-resonance." Arkson's form brightened with interest. "Explain, please." "Your quantum network operates on principles similar to our quantum computers, just at an unimaginably larger scale," Tanaka explained. "When our systems encounter errors, we use quantum error correction, introducing controlled interference patterns that cancel out the errors." "But their entire civilization is the computer," Maya objected. "We'd need a quantum processor powerful enough to interface with their entire network." "We have one," Chen said suddenly, her eyes wide with realization. "The Helios's experimental quantum core. We were using it for deep space mineral scanning, but with modifications." Warner held up a hand. "What are the risks?" "Catastrophic failure would accelerate the entropy cascade," Arkson stated, its form dimming slightly. "The death of our civilization would be immediate rather than gradual." A heavy silence fell over the lab. Maya felt the weight of billions of alien lives pressing down on them. The crystallites had revealed that their fleet carried the entire surviving population of their species, over 4 billion individuals, all connected through the failing quantum network. There's something else, Chen added hesitantly. To interface with their network, we'd need a biological component. Their system won't recognize purely artificial quantum signals. What kind of biological component? Warner asked. Chen looked uncomfortable. A human mind. Someone would need to be connected directly to both our quantum core and their network, acting as a bridge. No, Warner said immediately. It's too dangerous. We don't know what that kind of connection would do to a human brain. I'll do it, Maya said quietly. Everyone turned to look at her. I know the Helios' quantum core better than anyone. I helped design it. If anyone has a chance of making this work, it's me. Maya. Warner started, but she cut him off. Captain, we have 26 days left before the cascade becomes irreversible. Every simulation we've run shows the quantum disruption reaching Earth within months after that. We're not just trying to save the crystallites anymore. We're trying to save ourselves. Arxen moved closer to Maya, its crystalline form pulsing with what she had learned to recognize as strong emotion. You would risk your consciousness, your very self, to save our people. That's what humans do, Maya replied with a small smile. We see impossible problems as challenges to overcome. Besides, I've always wondered what it would be like to think at quantum speeds. Warner looked at each person in the room, then at the holographic displays showing the continuing degradation of the crystallite network. Finally, he nodded. Begin the modifications to the quantum core. But we do this carefully, with every possible safety precaution. As the team broke up to begin their work, Dr. Tanaka caught Maya's arm. You understand what you're volunteering for. The human brain wasn't designed to process quantum information. The experience will be unprecedented. Maya looked through the lab's viewport at the crystalline fleet stretching out into space, their once bright surfaces now dulled by the spreading entropy. Someone once said that anything worth doing is worth risking everything for. Let's just hope they were right. Over the next several days, the combined human and crystallite teams worked around the clock to modify the Helios' quantum core. They converted the ship's primary cargo hold into a massive quantum containment chamber, using technology from both species in ways neither had imagined before. Maya spent hours with the crystallite scientists, learning to understand their quantum language and the fundamental principles of their biocrystal matrix. The more she learned, the more she realized how miraculous their civilization was, and how devastating its loss would be to the universe. As the preparations neared completion, she found herself standing alone in the cargo hold, looking at the modified quantum core. The machine now resembled a hybrid of human and crystallite technology, with crystalline structures growing from its metallic frame like strange, geometric flowers. Having second thoughts, Warner's voice came from behind her. Maya turned to face her captain. No, just thinking about what's at stake. If this works, we're not just saving the civilization. We're opening the door to technology beyond our wildest dreams. If it fails, you'll have tried. Warner finished. Sometimes that's all we can do. But Maya, he put a hand on her shoulder. Make sure you come back. That's an order. Maya smiled. Yes, sir. She looked back at the quantum core, its crystals pulsing with potential energy. Tomorrow, she would attempt something no human had ever done. Merge her consciousness with an alien quantum network to save a dying civilization. As she left the cargo hold, she couldn't help but wonder. When humans dreamed of first contact, had anyone imagined it would be like this? The modified quantum containment chamber hummed with energy as final preparations were made. Maya lay in the integration pod, a hybrid of human medical technology and crystallite biocrystals. Delicate crystal filaments extended from the pod's interior, ready to interface with her nervous system. Neural interface systems check complete. Dr. Chen's voice came through the chamber's comm system. Quantum core is stable at 98% efficiency. Biocrystal resonance patterns aligned. Added arcsin, its crystalline form glowing brightly with anticipation. The network awaits integration. Captain Warner's voice cut through the technical chatter. Maya, this is your last chance to back out. No one would think less of you. Maya smiled, though her heart was racing. With respect, Captain, we're well past that point. The entropy cascade has accelerated. We have 18 days left at most. She wasn't exaggerating. Over the past week, 3 more crystallite ships had succumbed to the cascade, their once brilliant structures dissolving into quantum chaos. Each loss sent shockwaves through the alien fleet's network, accelerating the degradation. Very well, Warner replied, his voice tight with concern. Begin the integration sequence. Dr. Tanaka's voice came next, calm and professional. Starting neural interface in 3, 2, 1. The crystal filaments touched Maya's skin, and her world exploded into light. Her consciousness expanded exponentially as quantum information flooded her mind. She was everywhere and nowhere, experiencing reality at the subatomic level while simultaneously perceiving the vast network of crystallite consciousness. Neural patterns stable, she heard Chen say, the words seeming to come from a great distance. Quantum core responding to integration. Maya could feel the entropy cascade now, not as abstract data, but as a visceral wrongness in the quantum fabric of the crystallite network. It was like watching a beautiful tapestry unravel, each broken thread accelerating the destruction of the whole. Beginning counter-resonance sequence, she managed to say, though speaking felt strange, like trying to use a forgotten language. Her consciousness reached out through the quantum core, introducing carefully calculated interference patterns into the network. For a moment, it seemed to work. She could feel the cascade slowing, the quantum degradation meeting resistance. Then something shifted, and pain lanced through her mind. Neural patterns spiking. Chen's alarmed voice cut through the quantum noise. The cascade is adapting to the counter-resonance. Maya felt it happening. The entropy wasn't just a natural degradation. It was almost alive, responding to her attempts to stop it. The crystallite's quantum network had evolved over millennia to become something far more complex than they had realized. Maya, we're going to pull you out, Warner ordered. No, Maya fought to maintain her focus through the pain. I can see it now. The problem isn't in the quantum mechanics. It's in the network's evolutionary algorithms. The cascade is an immune response. Through her quantum-enhanced perception, Maya could see the truth. The crystallite civilization had achieved such perfect unity that their network had developed its own form of consciousness. When they had encountered a quantum anomaly in their travels, the network had perceived it as a threat and initiated what it thought was a defensive response, one that was now killing its own creators. The network's trying to protect itself. She transmitted through the quantum link. But it's stuck in a feedback loop. We need to show it another way. Maya pushed deeper into the quantum realm, no longer trying to fight the cascade, but instead attempting to communicate with the network itself. She opened her mind fully, sharing not just data but human experiences, emotions, memories, showing the network what it meant to be an individual part of a greater whole. The pain intensified until she thought her consciousness would shatter. Through it all, she held on to who she was, even as she felt herself spreading through the quantum network like stars expanding through the universe. Multiple systems failing. Chen's voice was barely audible now. Her neural patterns are becoming quantum entangled with the network. Maya, that's enough, Warner shouted. You've done all you can. But Maya wasn't finished. In the quantum realm, she had found something extraordinary, a way to bridge the gap between human individuality and crystallite unity. Her consciousness touched the vast, distributed intelligence of the network, and for a moment, she understood everything. Trust me, she whispered, though she wasn't sure if she spoke with her voice or through the quantum link. Then, using the last of her strength, she initiated a new sequence, not to fight the cascade, but to transform it. The quantum core flared with impossible energy. In space, the crystallite ships began to pulse with new patterns of light, their dulled surfaces regaining their brilliance. The entropy cascade shifted, its destructive patterns reorganizing into something new, something that preserved both unity and individuality. In the integration pod, Maya's body convulsed as her mind rode waves of quantum information that no human was meant to process. The crystal filaments blazed with light, conducting more energy than their designers had thought possible. The cascade is reversing. Arcson's transmission held wonder and disbelief. The network is evolving. Get her out of there, Warner ordered. Now. But as the emergency disconnection protocols engage, Maya sent one last quantum pulse through the network. In that final moment of connection, she experienced something beyond human comprehension. The birth of a new form of consciousness, one that bridged the gap between human and crystallite understanding. Then darkness took her, and she fell into a void where quantum probability collapsed into blessed unconsciousness. The last thing she heard was Captain Warner's voice, thick with emotion. "You did it, Maya. You really did it. Now come back to us." But had she done it? And more importantly, would she ever find her way back from the quantum realm where her consciousness now floated, somewhere between human thought and quantum reality? The answer lay waiting in the space between moments, where humanity's determination had just rewritten the laws of what was possible. Consciousness returned to Maya in fragments, like scattered light slowly coalescing into coherent patterns. The steady beep of medical monitors mixed with whispered conversations. She tried to open her eyes, but even that simple action seemed to require immense effort. "Neural activity is stabilizing," she heard Dr. Chen say. "The quantum residue in her synaptic patterns is finally beginning to normalize." "How long?" Maya managed to whisper, her voice rough from disuse. "Maya," Warner's relieved voice came from nearby. "You've been unconscious for 5 days. We weren't sure you'd find your way back." She finally managed to open her eyes, blinking against the med bay's soft lighting. Warner stood beside her bed, looking exhausted but relieved. Dr. Chen and Dr. Tanaka worked at nearby consoles, while a crystallite form hovered near the door, its structure pulsing with gentle light patterns. "The fleet?" Maya asked, memories of the quantum integration flooding back. "Safe," Warner replied with a smile. "Whatever you did in there, it worked." The entropy cascade didn't just stop, it reversed. The crystallite's network is stronger than ever, but different somehow. The crystallite by the door moved forward, and Maya recognized Arcson's unique light pattern. "You have given us more than survival," it said, its quantum voice resonating with new harmonics. "You have given us evolution." Maya tried to sit up, but her body felt distant, unfamiliar. "I remember. The network was alive. Conscious. It was trying to protect itself, but it didn't understand that it was hurting you." "Indeed," Arkson agreed. "Our quest for perfect unity had created an emergent intelligence in our quantum network, but one that could not comprehend the value of individual consciousness. Your human mind showed it another way." Dr. Tanaka stepped forward, her eyes bright with scientific curiosity. "The quantum readings we've been getting from their fleet are extraordinary. The network has reorganized itself into something entirely new, a hybrid structure that maintains quantum coherence while allowing for individual variation." "Like a symphony," Maya said softly, remembering the patterns she had experienced in the quantum realm. "Each consciousness is an instrument, distinct but contributing to a greater harmony." "But there's something else," Chen added, looking concerned. "Your neural patterns, they're not quite human anymore." Maya wasn't surprised. She could feel it. A strange awareness at the edges of her consciousness, like she was somehow connected to something vast and complex. "The quantum integration changed me, didn't it?" "Yes," Tanaka confirmed. "Your brain has developed quantum structures similar to crystallite neural patterns. You're still you, but you're also something new. A bridge between our species." Warner leaned forward, his face serious. "What do you remember from in there?" What exactly did you do to stop the cascade? Maya closed her eyes, trying to organize memories that seemed to exist in more dimensions than her mind was meant to process. I showed the network what it meant to be human, our individuality, our adaptability, our determination to overcome impossible odds. It learned from that, understood that true unity doesn't mean erasing differences, but celebrating them. The restructuring has already had profound effects. Arkson said, our ships are beginning to develop unique characteristics while maintaining their quantum links. Our people are experiencing individual thoughts and emotions in ways we never have before. It is extraordinary and somewhat terrifying. Maya added with a weak smile, understanding the mixture of wonder and fear the crystallites must be feeling. Welcome to being human. The door to the med bay slid open, and a group of Earth's top scientists entered, their faces showing barely contained excitement. Captain, one of them said, we're ready to begin examining the modifications to the quantum core. The potential applications of this new technology are staggering. Warner held up a hand. That can wait. Chief Engineer Rodriguez needs rest. No, Maya said, stronger now. They're right. We need to understand what happened, but not just for technology's sake. She looked at Arkson. Something incredible happened in that quantum network. We didn't just save your civilization. We helped it become something new. And in the process, we might have discovered a new path for humanity too. She could feel it in her transformed consciousness, glimpses of possibilities that merged human innovation with crystallite quantum mastery. The question is, she continued, are we ready for what comes next? Warner looked out the med bay viewport at the crystallite fleet, its ships now pulsing with new patterns of light that seemed to dance in harmony. We better be. Because like it or not, everything changes from here. Maya closed her eyes again, feeling the quantum echoes in her mind. She had gone into the network to save an alien civilization, but she had emerged with something far more precious, a blueprint for a future where humanity's greatest strengths could be combined with advances they had never dreamed possible. As she drifted back to sleep, she smiled, remembering an old quote. The universe is not only stranger than we imagine, it is stranger than we can imagine. Today, humanity had proved that they were ready to face that strangeness, to embrace it, and to help shape it into something new. The real adventure, she realized, was just beginning. 1 month after the quantum integration event, the space around Earth bustled with unprecedented activity. The crystallite fleet hung in high orbit, their massive crystalline forms catching sunlight in ways that made them look like a constellation of artificial stars. Below them, shuttles and ships moved back and forth between the fleet and Earth, carrying scientists, diplomats, and engineers from both species. Maya stood at the observation deck of the newly constructed quantum exchange station, her transformed consciousness allowing her to perceive both the physical reality before her and the quantum harmonies that now linked the two civilizations. She was no longer the only one who could sense these patterns. A small but growing number of humans had undergone modified versions of the quantum integration process, becoming bridges between the species. Still adjusting to the view, Captain Warner asked as he joined her at the window. He'd been promoted to admiral following the success of their mission, but to Maya, he would always be the captain who trusted her crazy plan. The view never gets old, she replied, watching a group of younger crystallites practicing their newly discovered ability to modify their crystalline forms. Where once they had all been nearly identical, they now displayed individual variations, some favoring angular geometries, others creating flowing, organic patterns. They're learning to express themselves as individuals while maintaining their quantum unity. It's beautiful, and somewhat terrifying to some people, Warner noted. The Security Council is still debating the implications of allowing humans to undergo quantum integration. They're worried we might lose our humanity. Maya turned to face him, her eyes showing traces of quantum light. They don't understand. We're not losing our humanity. We're expanding it. The crystallites taught us about unity, and we taught them about individuality. Together, We're becoming something greater than either of us could have been alone." Their conversation was interrupted by Dr. Tanaka's arrival. The quantum physicist had been working nonstop studying the hybrid technology that had emerged from their collaboration. "The results from the first industrial quantum core are in," she announced, her face glowing with excitement. "The power output is beyond our most optimistic projections. We could solve Earth's energy crisis within a year." "And that's just the beginning," added Arkson, who had materialized nearby in that unsettling way the crystallites had of appearing. Its form had evolved significantly, incorporating patterns that seemed almost human in their asymmetry. "Our combined understanding of quantum mechanics has opened paths neither of our species imagined possible." Maya nodded, feeling the quantum currents that flowed between stars. "FTL travel is next. The crystallite's quantum network showed us that space-time isn't as rigid as we thought. We just needed to learn to see it differently." "Speaking of seeing things differently," Warner said, "the first human colony ships are almost ready. The crystallite's star maps have shown us dozens of habitable worlds within reach, and we have much to learn from watching how humans adapt to new environments," Arkson added. "Your species' adaptability continues to astonish us." Maya smiled, remembering her first terrifying plunge into the quantum network. "That's what humans do best. We adapt, we innovate, and we never stop pushing boundaries. But now we don't have to do it alone." The station's quantum alert system pulsed, drawing their attention. A new ship was emerging from Earth's atmosphere, the prototype of humanity's first quantum-enhanced vessel. Its design was a perfect fusion of human engineering and crystallite biocrystal technology, sleek metal seamlessly blending with living crystal. "The horizon," Maya said softly, watching the ship rise. "Humanity's first true starship. Are you ready?" Warner asked. "They want you to command her first deep space mission." Maya felt a flutter of excitement, both human and quantum. A joint human crystallite crew, exploring the unknown together. "I can't think of anything I'd rather do." "There are still challenges ahead," Arkson cautioned. "Not all humans embrace these changes, and some of my people struggle with their new individuality." "Good," Maya replied. "Challenges are what make us stronger. Look how far we've come since that day the Helios found your fleet. We didn't just save your civilization. We transformed both our species, and we did it not by fighting our differences, but by learning from them." As if to emphasize her words, the Horizon's quantum drive activated, surrounding the ship in a beautiful display of crystalline energy patterns. It was a testament to what could be achieved when two very different species chose to trust each other, to learn from each other, and to grow together. "You know," Warner said thoughtfully, "when humans dreamed of first contact, we always imagined either conquest or competition. No one predicted that our greatest strength would be our ability to help others, to solve problems no one else could solve." "Perhaps that is why the universe guided us to you," Arkson suggested. "Not because you were the most advanced civilization, but because you were the most willing to take risks to help others." Maya watched as more ships rose from Earth, carrying the hopes and dreams of two civilizations. The quantum network hummed with possibilities, each connection between human and crystallite consciousness creating new patterns of thought and innovation. "The universe is vast," she said, feeling the quantum currents that flowed between stars. "But it's not empty. It's full of civilizations waiting to be discovered, problems waiting to be solved, and wonders waiting to be understood. And now, thanks to what we achieved here, we're ready to face whatever we find out there." She turned to look at her companions, human and crystallite, each changed by their encounter with the other, each made stronger by their differences rather than their similarities. "After all," she concluded with a smile, "that's what humanity does best. We take the impossible, and we make it possible. And now we've taught that lesson to the stars themselves." The Horizon's quantum drive pulsed one final time, and the ship disappeared into the depths of space, carrying the legacy of two species toward an uncertain but promising future. Behind it, Earth and the Crystallite Fleet stood as a testament to what could be achieved when determination met desperation, when innovation met tradition, and when two very different species dared to dream of something greater than themselves. It was just the beginning.